सध्यासमिद्धान्वितं पापत्रापनिकृन्तनं तनभितां गोविन्द गानामृतैः श्री गौरांग गुणानुवर्णन विधौ सध्यासमिद्धान्वितं पापत्रापनिकृन्तनं तनभितां गोविन्द गानामृतैः आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनैकनिपुणं कैवल्यनिस्वार्कं वन्दे रूपसनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीदेवगोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गाननर्तनपरं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपतिशनिं सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपतिशनिं सदा तुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ गोपीभावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन गाननर्तनपरं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन गाननर्तनपरं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि कुजत कोकिलहंस संसार सुगणकीर्णमयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलपिटप श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ जौ बुधा वन्दे रूपसनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीदेवगोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गाननर्तनपरं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि धीराधीरजनप्रियं प्रियकरं निर्मत्सरं पूजितं
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Look at how beautiful Yashodananda's shaved head is with his nice tilak. Beautiful. This is the way a devotee prepares himself every day in Krishna consciousness. And I wanted to thank, of course, our devotee in France. I haven't seen him for a while. I don't know what happened, Bhakta Jad, but I do like his service that he did do for our society, the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association. We do appreciate people that step up and do services. If there's anyone that is available to help us with our technology work, with our social media work, please let me know. We're always looking for people to help develop our mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy through using social media. And as I mentioned this week, just alone on Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook group page, we have over 2 million views. 2 million. This is over a period of a couple of years, of course, but at the same time, it's an indication that there are people outside of ISKCON who are interested in learning the truth about Guru Tattva and learning the truth about what is the situation that is going on in the ISKCON group. Oh, yes. And I wanted to go to a famous quote of Srila Prabhupada's. The temples may fail, he said. This was to Hansaduta in September 1974. The temples may fail. Who would have thought? The devotees may fail. Oh yeah, we've seen that. We've all had trouble with staying steady. But my books will live forever. And you will utilize, this is the idea that we should read the books every day. Now, I was looking at a letter from Srila Prabhupada to Bhargava. This was dated on May 31st, 1972. I'm hoping our friend Bhakta Rupesh can find it. I'll start reading it anyway. Dear Bhargava, please accept my blessings. I'm in receipt of your letter dated May 31st, 1972, and I've noted the contents. Our advancement in Krishna consciousness is made possible in two ways: by knowledge and renunciation, jnana and tyaga or tapasya. The more we become renounced from this material world, the more we advance in Krishna consciousness. But we are only able to make such sacrifices and perform tapasya if we've got knowledge. So first thing is to become knowledgeable in Krishna consciousness. Then the tapasya or voluntary life of austerity will result automatically. So I'm requesting, here we go, requesting all of my students to read my books very seriously every day without fail. In this way, if your mind becomes absorbed at least 1 or 2 hours daily in the transcendental subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other books, then you will make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And that's what we do 3 times a week for our group, is we do read all the books. It is not a matter of changing our engagement, adjusting this or that material condition in order to find our real happiness. Krishna consciousness is not like that. It is able to be performed under any variety of material conditions or without any type of engagement. Therefore, if your duty as a photographer is very much helpful to our propaganda work, and for improving our BTG, yes, then there's very much need for you remaining in that occupation and doing it to the best of your capacity. It is a fallacy to say that my present engagement with the press is not the best for my spiritual advancement. If we think in this way, we may go on trying but one engagement after another and always say the same excuse. This restlessness of the mind, agitation of the mind, can be rectified by altering the material circumstances. If we are Krishna conscious, in any type of occupation will suit me, and we shall be always satisfied. Therefore, I recommend you to read my books more and more and try to understand the subject matter from different angles of vision and be always discussing it with your God brothers. That is what we're doing here, by the way, everyone. Even while you're working at the press, when you are working and you cannot read, then listen to the tapes of my lectures and hear in that way, and never neglect to chant 16 rounds of beads daily, rise early without fail, attend Mangal Arti, take bath, and follow the other regulated principles, and everything will come out very successfully. You can be rest assured of that. I'm feeling the tendency more and more to retire behind the scenes for translating work, and I want to return over the management of everything to the GBC and other senior leaders amongst my disciples. So, very interesting letter, specifically saying how to practice Krishna consciousness for his disciples. Now, a lot of people we're reading are in despair. Yes, because they feel that they've left ISKCON, they've become isolated, they become lonely, they become depressed because they don't have association. And we were used to that when we were in the society. Yes, we would get up together and take our baths, and not together, but we would take baths and then we would carry on with this routine every morning of attending Mangal Arti, chanting our rounds, going to Tulsi Devi, chanting Guru Puja, chanting our japa together as a group, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then having prasadam together, and then beginning our duties. Yeah, it was a routine, and it was quite blissful and very engaging. But at the same time, things change. Yes, movement collapsed in front of our eyes with this ISKCON guru system based on the appointment by themselves, the GBC, appointed by themselves, by the GBC, people to become Diksha gurus that were not actually bona fide. They were not Uttama Adhikaris. And along with that, they were changing the books. This person from the America, Jayadvaita, who's committed one of the greatest offenses against Srila Prabhupada. He changed Prabhupada's books. Where is the authority when a third-class man changes the book of a first-class devotee, a transcendental messenger of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Where is the potency of such a person? There is none. And the books lose their potency. And Prabhupada is emphatically explaining to us that the most important thing are his books, because the temples may fail. He said it. Oh, the temples may fail. The devotees may fail. Just think about it, everyone. Like people talk about this with us on an ongoing basis. How many people are still alive that are practicing Krishna consciousness from Prabhupada's disciples? Huh? How many? Not very many. Hardly any, actually. And most of them blooped, literally. Remember that term, Rochisha, Devidasi? Remember that term? He blooped. What it meant was he left the temple. Oh, he blooped. It was an expression that came up in the ISKCON early years when people went back to material life. They went back into the ocean of material existence. They blooped. So how many people blooped? So many. We're not going to go over the list because it's thousands. Yeah, they decided on their own to go back and try to enjoy material life and become rich or famous or independent of anyone else's direction. Because a lot of people don't like to be told what to do. They don't. We've had a situation in our evolution of our group that people that used to be with us, that were Prabhupada disciples, they got mad at me. Oh, Vishwa, what are you trying to do? Run a boot camp? What are you trying to do? Who do you think you are? Run a boot camp. You're telling me, but Prabhupada told us you must chant your rounds. And by the way, the person that was hearing that message, we weren't directing it to him, but he personally felt that we were speaking about him, but all we were doing was repeating Prabhupada's words. Chant 16 rounds. Follow the 4 regulated principles. I just read it in this letter. And this way you can become Krishna conscious. Institutionalization of a movement doesn't mean that you can make more advancement in that institution than outside of the institution, because the real institution of Krishna consciousness is the practice of bhakti yoga. That's what it is. And you can be excited, everyone, to practice this on your own. You're doing it anyway. We all are. And at the same time, we've got our group. Yes, we do. The Prabhupada Disciples Association. And if you noticed how steady this is, Vijaya Pandit and your friends there, and thank all of them for coming to the class. We do appreciate it. Steady, determination, focused. And our message is clear that Prabhupada is living with us in sound. And everyone can take shelter. Don't feel depressed that you're not living in a so-called temple. Huh? Who wants to be in a temple where they're worshiping phony gurus, where they've replaced Srila Prabhupada and put him in a position as a person for hire? Oh, he's been hired by the BBT. No, he's not an author for hire. He is the bona fide representative of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. He is Rupesh. But people don't believe it because they've been misled. They've been misinformed. They've been manipulated. You know who is the greatest manipulator, Yashoda, that I ever met in my life? The greatest manipulator of our philosophy, Kirtanananda Swami. I had to work with him for years, Mother Rochisha. You know that. And we also had Nandi Keshwar, who was my good friend. Hardly ever see him now. He got so burnt out by these people. He doesn't even talk to anybody. But nonetheless, the manipulation by this Keith Ham, this homosexual from New Vrindavan, and worse than that, a pedophile, destroyed the faith of a lot of people. In fact, a lot of people want nothing to do with anybody that's a Prabhupada disciple, especially the Gurukuli second generation of children that saw what went on, and they're so discouraged by it. They want nothing to do with us. They think it's all trash. And they just go away. Some committed suicide. All kinds of tragedies, catastrophes have taken place because of these bogus people. Yes. And their lack of understanding. And they can't even understand, everyone, just this one letter I read this morning. can't even understand it. They're not interested. And we will stand up to them, as I mentioned, and I'll finish up. We're planning to organize a panel just to say to them, listen, we want to have a guru review of your so-called position as an Uttama Adhikari in the ISKCON society. We'll have 5 people on the panel, 5 godbrothers. They're peers. And let them answer questions by themselves, 1 on 5, because they're on their own anyway. Hey, Rodnath, we want to interview you. We want to qualify you if you're actually an Uttama Adhikari in the position of being a Diksha Guru in the line of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let us see how well you understand this philosophy, Mr. Jayapataka. Oh, he can't even talk now, so forget him. He can't even talk. Let's forget him. I'll take him off the list. We'll go to Radhanath. Let's go to Radhanath. Let's ask him if he understands Guru Tattva. Let's see. That'll be interesting, everyone? What we'll do is we'll send the invitations out to all of them and see who responds. Who is in a position, who they feel they can stand before a panel, a Brahminical council, who's going to interview them based on philosophy and see if they're actually believe that they're in this line of disciplic succession. Something to think about, huh? Very interesting. So thank you, everyone, for attending these readings and discussions in association with our God brothers and God sisters. It's a real blessing for us to have this opportunity that didn't exist before. And all we're doing, Prabhupada was explaining in the letter, we're dovetailing our talents and our abilities in the service of our spiritual master. And that is the secret of success. So whatever you can do to help us, please get in touch with us, however you want to participate in publishing and printing books or in technology, any kind of other service. And we are looking to make Prabhupada disciples. Yes, we are. And I'll be reading next week the qualifications that we're looking for in people that are interested in being part of this online movement and temple. It's a temple. The temple of the mind, of the temple of devotional service to our spiritual master. The transcendental temple of sound vibration, which is Bhakti Yoga. So we'll go now to the diaries. And I think Rupesh knows, he was there yesterday. Let me see, let me open. I was looking at this online diary. It's not quite as nice as the book because they've left some things out. Here we are at, I think we got, Rupesh, did we get to May 19th, 1966? Yeah. Thursday, May 19th, 1966. Sunrise 4:42, sunset 7:11, moonrise 4:14. Amavasya, Paul paid $2. Paul paid $2 for expenditure. So Prabhupada paid the $2. Today, one letter received from Mr. Paul C. Sherbert, and he is replied also. On Friday, May 20th, the sunrise was 4:41, sunset was 7:12, moonsets, new moon, pratipad. Today I withdrew $25, Mr. Paul's money, and delivered to him $25 in full. So Prabhupada's increasing his contribution. Very interesting, my Prabhus, is that Prabhupada was very honorable even with his accommodation. He was not interested in living for free. He was paying. And this way we had a right. Purchase 1 box of stapling, $1. Staples. It is calculated today that after expenditure up to date, the balance is $22 out of all contributions in the meeting. Mr. Raphael wants to sell books. I have given him instructions. Let me see what he can do. Mr. Paul wants $5 more for depositing in the electric office in his name. So he's to pay the electrical bill, $5. Expenditure was $12. In the evening, there was a meeting, and although the attendance was with 10 men, the collection was only $4. It's very tragic here. And just see how Prabhupada was struggling. He had no money. Imagine that. No money. No real place to live. He was actually a tenant in Paul's Bowery room. So he had no stability at all. His only stability was Krishna. Saturday, May 21st, sunrise 4:40, sunset 7:13, moonset 8:58, Dvicha. Paul was paid $1.25 for expenses. In the afternoon, there was Sanskrit class. The attendance was 10, but again, the collection was only $4. One boy paid for the books partly, $6. At 5:30 p.m., we started for Ananda Ashram. Paul's landlady came for rent. She is promised for rent paying on Monday. He has kept with him $75, and I will have to return the balance of collection, $25 on Monday to him. In the evening, there was kirtan at the ashram. It was nice as usual. There was dance of Balaram, and the expenditure was $1.25, and income was $10. On Sunday, May 22nd, no money, no place to stay, really. Completely on his own, no disciples. Sunrise 4:39, sunset 7:14, moonset 10:05, Tirtha. Both Paul and I, we were at the ashram the whole day. We came back at 8 p.m. It is seen that somebody came in. Paul says the door was open. There was electric table lamp on. And later on, it was found that on paper he has left one note with a chalk, as blessed is mysterious. And later on, it was found that $75, which was kept in Paul's drawer, is taken away. I think the situation is not safe. We have to arrange for safety, otherwise it is risky to remain here. No problem. We're moving towards his next move. The ashram paid $10 for our going there, so there was no expenditures. That was to Ananda Ashram. On Monday, the 23rd of May, sunrise was 4:39, sunset was 7:15, moonsets was 11:03, Chaturi. Paid Paul $4 for expenditures and $25 for paying rents, etc. In the evening, there was a meeting, and the contribution was $8. The attendance was about 11, ladies and gentlemen. Sunrise, Tuesday, May 24th, sunrise was 4:38 a.m., sunset was 7:16 p.m., moonset was 11:51, Panchami. Today, Paul was paid $2 for expenditures, 2 letters posted, one to Sherbert and the others to Cambridge University Press. Now, I want you to notice how minimal the writing is in the diary right now, because as we keep moving forward, you'll see how it'll expand. You can study the feel of the movement as he's moving along and propagating it and getting success. So on Wednesday, the 25th of May, the sunrise was 4:37 a.m., sunset was 7:17 p.m., and moonsets or Shastis. Today, Paul was paid for expenditure $2. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was about 18 heads, and the contribution was $11.75. After the meeting, there was a consultation about the incorporation of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So here we see the name come up, and then you don't have the printing there, but in his own handwriting, I can see it here in the page. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Thursday, May 26th, sunrise 4:36 a.m., sunset 7:18 p.m., moonsets 0:32, Saptami. Today I went to Dr. Mishra to dine with him. The expenditure was Subway 30 cents. Today Paul showed his crazy mind, but he was sorry later on for breaking the kirtan performances in the morning service. So he had a episode with this punk, somehow or other. Of course, very blessed to get Prabhupada's personal association, but still crazy. Yes. Friday, May 7th, 27th, sunrise was 4:36 a.m., sunset was 7:19, moonsets 1:05. Today, Paul was paid $2 for the expenditure. I saw a good apartment and lecture hall at 218 Park Row, Chatham Square. Paul typed practically the whole day. In the evening, there was a meeting. About 15 persons, both ladies and gentlemen, attended. The contribution was only $8.70. So we'll end for this reading for now, because we want to get on with the rest of the program. Study the pace, feel the mood, get absorbed in these pastimes, in this association of scripture, and in this way, you'll be happy in Krishna consciousness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's have the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava with Srila Prabhupada. So chant along with him. Don't sit in front of the screen and look at the screen and think, oh, I'm watching TV. No, you're not. You're part of a transcendental class that we're broadcasting globally for everyone's benefit. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyāsadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. This week we will proceed directly to the verse we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. This reading has been conducted on the basis of the original 1962 Srimad Bhagavatam, and all synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 35. Yadatra kriyate karma Bhagavat paritoshanam jnanam yattadadinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Yadatra, yad, whatever. Atra, in this life or world. Kriyate, does perform. Karma, work. Bhagavat, unto the personality of Godhead. Paritoshanam, satisfaction of. Jnanam, knowledge. Yattad, what is called so. Adinam, dependent. He, certainly. Bhakti yoga, devotional. Samanvitam, dovetailed with Bhakti yoga. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is termed as Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service of the Lord, and as such, what is called knowledge become a concomitant factor. Concomitant factor. Purport by His Divine Grace. The general and popular notion is that by discharging fruitive work in terms of the direction of the scriptures, one becomes perfectly able to acquire transcendental knowledge for spiritual realization. Bhakti yoga is considered by some as another form of karma. But factually, Bhakti Yoga is above both karma and jnanam. Bhakti Yoga is independent of jnanam or karma. On the other hand, jnanam and karma are dependent of Bhakti Yoga. This Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga, as recommended by Sri Nārada to Vyasa, is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord. The Lord wants that his sons, the living being, may not suffer the threefold miseries of life, and desires that all of them should come to him and live with him. But such going back to God, it means one must purify himself from material infections. When work is therefore performed in terms of satisfaction of the Lord, the performer of such work become gradually purified from the material affection. This purification means attainment of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, knowledge is dependent on such karma or work which is done on behalf of the Lord. Others' knowledge, being devoid of bhakti yoga or satisfaction of the Lord, cannot lead one back to the kingdom of God, which means cannot even offer salvation, as it is already explained in connection with the stanza, Neshkarmya eva achuta bhava varjita. The conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Very important points are raised here by Nārada Muni for the instruction of Sri Vyāsadeva. The point is to engage one's life and one's activities in the service of the Lord. That is called Bhakti Yoga. There's a common misconception nowadays that yoga means some kind of gymnastic exercises and that this is really the real practice of yoga. But this modern gymnastic yoga that is being propagated in various places is not the original system of yoga recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. In order to practice this hatha yoga, there are various restrictions. There are numerous restrictions which are placed upon the practitioner. But nowadays, many of these practitioners do not follow any restrictions. Neither do they understand the proper goal of performing this type of yoga. So the Bhagavatam describes, specifically in this text, what is the real aim of this yoga practice. In the purport here, you see, the Lord wants that his sons, the living being, may not suffer the threefold miseries of life, and desires that all of them should come to him and live with him. But such going back to God, it means that one must purify himself from material infections. So now the whole process is a process of purification. We see that Srila Prabhupada used to often quote, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. The process of yoga means sarva upadi, to become free from the various upadis. Upadi means designation, false designations that the living being in the material world are entangled with. Everybody is thinking, my body, my country, my family, my this, my that. This is called Maya. Maya means illusion. Ma means not. Ya means this, not this. You are not this body. This body is a temporary dress. But under the influence of the illusory energy, one thinks that this dress is so important that I am this dress. Just like if you put a coat or a dress or a shirt, you don't think that this is me. It's just a cover for you. Similarly, this body is a cover for the spirit soul. The real identity of the living being is that we are spirit soul, eternal spirit soul. But under the influence of illusion, illusory energy, Maya, we think that this body is ourself. It is not. That's why there is so many different designations in the material world. Somebody recently was asking me, well, why did Prabhupada make so many statements about women, about different races, about different genders, why this, why that? He's trying to teach us that we are suffering in this world on account of these upadis. These upadis means false designations, temporary designations. Sarvopadi vinurmuktam tat paratvina nirmalam. One has to become free, nirmalam, of these various designations. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchati. Bhakti means, or devotion, devotional yoga means to become free from these designations and engage the senses in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikaisha. Now, how do we do that? This is further explained by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, translated by our Srila Prabhupada as the nectar of devotion. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. That in order to practice Bhakti Yoga properly, one has to become free from all mental speculation and all desire for fruitive activities. Then the spiritual platform comes. And this is called Bhakti Uttama. This is the topmost Bhakti. But in order to be situated on that platform, one has to develop the process of hearing. This process of hearing is very, very important. Recently, a devotee sent me a compilation of different quotations from Srila Prabhupada about the process of hearing, called submissive hearing. How to understand this submissive hearing process. I'm going to read one or two quotes from this because this is very, very important. This was a lecture in Rome, Italy, on May 27th, 1974. It was a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 3 in Rome, Italy, on May 27th, 1974. Prabhupada explains, Vedic knowledge. Formerly, there was no need of books. Nowadays, at the present moment, our memory is not so sharp due to Kali Yuga. Therefore, Vyāsadeva wrote in books, in words, because he foresaw that the people in this age, they will be dull-headed rascals. Therefore, if they get this knowledge recorded in writing, they may be able to derive some benefit. Otherwise, formerly, Vedic knowledge was never book reading. No, Shruti. Shruti means hearing. This disciple is so powerful that once he hears from the spiritual master, his memory is recorded immediately. Memory, therefore, brahmachari record. If you remain brahmachari, then your brain will be so nice that as soon as you hear something, it will be memorized. This is the benefit of brahmachari. And if the students are allowed to be sexually, indulgent, then where is the brain? This is very scientific to remain brahmachari, to understand from the guru simply by hearing, once hearing. There was a case, of course, one Englishman chastised another Indian by calling him so many ill names, damn rascal, fool, like that. So he complained to the court that this man has insulted me. So where is the witness? So the witness The complainer, he was summoned. The Brahmana was so sharp in memory, he exactly said, just like gramophone record, tape record. Whatever he said, I do not know what is the meaning of this, but these words were said. So people were so sharp in memory, that is Brahmana, once heard from the spiritual master. The spiritual master means Shrotriyam. He has also nicely heard from his spiritual master. Therefore, Vedic knowledge, factually, it is received simply by hearing. There was no necessity of becoming literate, illiterate. It doesn't matter. But it is after all received through the oral reception. Therefore, it is called Shruti. And Shruti Saramekam. And of all the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence. So the point is, this hearing process is very, very important. One has to hear from the proper source of a bona fide, realized, authorized spiritual master. There is another section in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text number 1. Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text number 1. This is a very, very important purport where Prabhupada talks about the qualification of Sutta Goswami. When there was the meeting of all the sages at Naimisharanya in North India, Shonaka Muni or Sonaka Rishi was the most learned and elderly person. And Prabhupada explains, on hearing Sutta Goswami thus speaking, Sonaka Muni, who was the elderly and learned leader of all the rishis, engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Sutta Goswami by addressing him as follows. In the purport, Prabhupada describes, in the meeting of learned men, when there is any congratulation or address for the speaker in the meeting, the qualification of such congratulator shall be as follows. He must be the leader of the house and an elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Sri Sonaka Rishi had all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Sutta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Srimad Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from Shukadev Goswami and also realized it personally. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Sonaka, could estimate the value of the speaker, Sri Sutta Goswami, simply by uttering Yatadhitam and Yatamati, and therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original acharya. Let me repeat that, and to whom it may concern. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original acharya. So the speaker and the audience were bona fide in this meeting where Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. That should be the standard of recitation of Bhagavatam so that the real purpose can be served without difficulty. Unless this situation is created, Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purposes is useless labor both for the speaker and for the audience. So it is very important for devotees to be aware of the warnings given by Srila Prabhupada. For example, when Prabhupada says, no learned man may be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. This is very important. Those who do not represent Srila Prabhupada, who have changed and misinterpreted his teachings, who have concocted so many nonsense ideas based on their own false ego, should not be heard. Devotees should be warned and understand this text very carefully. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that in-depth explanation of the philosophy and these points in Bhagavatam. And this is very interesting, this last section that you brought up. I was jotting it down, that how Prabhupada had said definitively that no learned man may be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So, we've been having a lot of people coming forward on social media saying, I'm never going to leave ISKCON. You must stay in ISKCON. That was Prabhupada's order. Well, it depends on what you consider ISKCON is. Do you consider ISKCON an institution? Or do you consider it an assembly of like-minded devotees following the orders of the spiritual master without deviation? Well, the answer is, it is the second explanation. That ISKCON is devotees that do follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions without change. Like, for example, in Alachua, Florida, they don't allow people to speak using the original 1972 Bhagavad Gita at the Gita class. They don't allow it. They want you to read from the yellow Bhagavad Gitas they distribute. I have a picture I'm going to put up on social media of what I did with my case of yellow Gitas. I burnt them in the backyard. I took out the pictures. I have a pile of pictures from these books. And it was a wonderful bonfire. We wanted to offer respect to the scripture, even though it was distorted or changed. But at the same time, did I, in good conscience, have the enthusiasm to give this book to a new person interested in Krishna consciousness and tell them, read this? I couldn't do it. I've replaced the books. I have over 40 Bhagavad Gitas, 72 editions, 1972 editions. And when anyone is qualified to find out about this process through us, then they'll get a proper Bhagavad Gita, but not the yellow Gitas. No, thank you. So Prabhupada's saying here in this purport, no learned man will be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. Why would you stay in a temple where Keith Ham is speaking or Gopal Krishna was speaking when they did not speak according to the teachings of our guru? That we're so stupid that we can't see between the lines what their motive, what their intention was? No, thank you. Goodbye. That's not leaving ISKCON. That's leaving people that are blasphemers. You cannot stay in association. Triloka Vijaya. You cannot stay in association with people that blaspheme our spiritual master. We do not take any physical aggression against them. No. But we leave. It's gone. We're gone. We don't want to be a part of that atmosphere. It's contaminating. It's like a cancer. If people have a disease, you don't want to associate with them because you'll catch the disease. That's what happens. So we stay away. Yes, we do. I have no interest. Nowadays, we started the Rath Yatra program, traveling Rath Yatra in Toronto, which has gone all over America. There was Charu here, Vatsal, Madhuha, Devi Deva, Murli Krishna, all these devotees. We were all working together, and Jayananda was involved as well in guiding us in the development of these portable carts which would go around to all the cities, because it was a big expense for everyone to make their own carts. So instead of doing that, we decided to centralize the Rath Yatra and help people in the different temples put these festivals on. So it was a cooperative effort by all of us to do that. But at the same time, we expected everyone to follow the orders of Srila Prabhupada on how to perform Rath Yatra. It wasn't meant to be the Festival of India, where you have people dancing on the stage for most of the program and people selling change books. Actually, what happened was Madhuha was bringing books. That's how I got my Bhagavatams. And he was forbidden to sell these changed books at the Toronto Rath Yatra. And the GBC, Bhakti Marg Swami, told them, do not bring these books into my zone. Do not bring them here. That's how confused it is. So why would we want to be a part of that mission when that mission is not representing properly the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the public? And the fact of the matter is, Prabhus, that this has infected millions of people. This is a great tragedy. There's a new video coming out, Yashodanandana Prabhu, which is based on the book from years ago, Murder, Madness, and the Hare Krishnas. It was a story that was put in Time magazine or in Life magazine, something like that. And now they're doing a new, it's like a Peacock film, that recent Peacock film that came out. Now they're doing a new film. It seems quite popular, this subject, even though it's an old story. But at the same time, it's quite revealing what was the reality back then and how things have changed. I don't know, I'm getting a feedback. Sorry, everyone. I'll finish up. So the point is that we don't want to consider that leaving ISKCON the institution. It is a matter of leaving bad association for better association with the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society. Okay? I think that's pretty clear. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further comment.
Well, thank you for this explanation. This topic of what is ISKCON has come up many times because many devotees have become, let's use the word concerned. Many of them have become upset, but let's use the word concern about numerous changes that have occurred since Srila Prabhupada departed in 1977 on November 14th, 1977. Srila Prabhupada gave many time instructions to his leaders not to change his teachings, not to manufacture ideas, not to concoct, and exactly that same deviation took place on many, many levels. The foremost of which, this nonsense, The foremost of which, this looks like there's a problem with the audio here. It is very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness when there are many, many deviations from the original teachings. Now, we started on this part of this program, we've discussed many times the major concoction with this bogus idea that Prabhupada appointed some successors, some initiating acharyas or initiating diksha gurus. This was a fault, this was a falsehood, and a concoction. There is no record in the last few months of Prabhupada's manifested presence of him initiating, of him appointing or selecting one acharya or a group of acharyas. All he did was nominate people to render a service to the society by acting as officiating representatives. They did not like that. Their own personal ambitions clouded their judgment, clouded their intelligence, and all kinds of concoctions followed. One of these concoctions was the great distortion of his instructions, not to change his books, not to change his teachings. How many times devotees have discussed this point, not to change his teachings? Oh, and I know all the arguments about, oh, we're not changing, we're just editing, we're just correcting mistakes. Okay, we've heard that before. But we know the real motive. The real motive of these individuals is to pollute the philosophy, to twist the original pure teachings of Prabhupada to some way or other, misinterpret his teachings to support their monopoly idea. Just like the caste Brahmins in South India and Bengal are very fond of misinterpreting the Shastra, the scriptures, the original intent of the scriptures, to claim that to become a Brahmin is only by birth. Of course, they miss the important instruction from the Skanda Purana, Janmana Jayati Shudra. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Samskarat Bhavet Dvijaha. One becomes a Dvija or twice born a Brahmin by proper samskar, not by birth. The Skanda Purana warns, Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth, everyone is Shudra in Kali Yuga. But they don't listen. They don't read the Shastra. Nor do they hear the proper commentary from the authorized Acharya. Same thing in ISKCON. They concocted cherry picking. They will cherry pick the instructions they want to fulfill their personal ambition, their so-called tradition, their so-called living argument. Of course, intelligent persons who carefully read Prabhupada's original books will understand the real political motive. There's the real ISKCON of those who follow Prabhupada's instruction, and then there's the political ISKCON for self-promotion and self-aggrandizement. One should be aware of the distinction between the two. We had an interesting encounter with Srila Prabhupada in 1972 in Bombay in December. With Srila Prabhupada, we had come back from South India preaching there, and Prabhupada asked us, so what is the program that you do in the morning? And we started by telling him, well, there's no ISKCON centers down there. And Prabhupada looked at him, he says, what? He says, what is your idea? And he, what do you do in the morning? He says, well, we take bath and put tilak and have Mangal Artik, and we chant the Tulsi prayers, we chant the Narasimha prayers, and then we have japa, then Bhagavatam class, then prasadam, then we go preach. Who's playing with the sound here?
Well, what if we can get Rupesh, just mute everyone so it doesn't come through. Rupesh, just mute everyone. If no one's playing Yashoda, what's happening is it's feedback from somebody's microphone.
So Prabhupada's response, ISKCON is wherever you're following these principles, chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavatam. That is ISKCON. But unfortunately, over the years, especially after Prabhupada departed, the political ISKCON came in, and political nonsense propaganda came in. So devotees should be aware of these various deviations and not fall for this false propaganda. We all know that Srila Prabhupada many times gave warning about false propaganda. And I keep referring to this conversation with Srila Prabhupada in the, it's the philosophy book, Dialectical Spiritualism. Stop playing with the sound, whoever it is. The dialectical spiritualism. All right, somebody else can speak.
Okay, so I wanted to make a point. Rupesh, if you could check the muting of the devotees that are on the call, because it's feeding back. What's happening is we're speaking and it's going through their speaker, and it's going double. But at any rate, I wanted to mention about Aprakrita Prabhu to us. Now, Aprakrita Prabhu did leave the ISKCON temple back in so many years ago. So why did he leave? He left because he was disappointed with the way things were. Now, did that minimize his ability to practice Krishna consciousness? No. Did that prevent him from making advancement? No. In fact, it improved his ability to serve because he wasn't affected by Vijaya Pandit, by these bogus people he was dealing with. And he had good intelligence. He could see what was the reality of the deception. And he stayed away from it. He wasn't interested in dealing with them. He just carried on with his own devotional service, Mother Rochisha. Did his own Rath Yatras, started his own online channel, Veda, associated with people that he liked to associate with, and set good example, chanted his rounds every day, got up early in the morning. And in this way, at the time of his departure, he was fixed in Krishna consciousness. Here is the proof, everyone, from our own God brother in our own group, how you can become Krishna conscious by being part of a bona fide group of devotees and following the process and not dealing with ISKCON. It's that simple. In fact, these people, along with their followers, according to Shastra, may suffer very terrible fate. And this is not good. So just a reminder to everyone. And I wanted to ask Puranjana Prabhu, our God brother, if maybe he could make a few comments on today's program. I know he's there. I can see the beautiful painting he has of Krishna. Puranjana Prabhu. Let's see. Guess he must have went away from the microphone, unfortunately. Oh, there he is. Okay. Puranjana Prabhu. Go ahead.
Reason, I couldn't get my screen, the Zoom screen, to come up. But anyway, yeah, I've been having various interesting discussions with people, but one of the more recent discussions with some devotees was about how Mahatma Gandhi had this ahimsa policy. And there's a quote where Prabhupada says, ahimsa always leads to himsa. And he said, we can see the result. Mahatma Gandhi had this big ahimsa thing, and then there was incredible violence as a result, because you cannot just allow aggressors to take over, you know. So I was saying, I gave the example that Prabhupada gave of the rabbit never falls at the feet of the lion and says, here I am, I'm your lunch, go ahead. That never happens. The rabbit always runs as much as it can, takes every evasive action, and tries to defend itself. It never just surrenders to the lion. so so in this way, Mahatma Gandhi's policy of ahimsa was a failure, and Prabhupada wrote a letter about Mahatma Gandhi saying that he had caused himsa as a result of ahimsa. And we said this equally applies to ISKCON, because in ISKCON, the devotees just thought, well, we're not going to fight back. We're not going to challenge the GBC. We're just going to, be rabbits and jump into the mouth of the lion without protesting. And same result. The ahimsa policy of the devotees, just, allowing all this stuff to go along, acquiescing, resulted in a much worse situation. And Prabhupada said the Mahatma Gandhi philosophy is the same as the hippies. The hippies, go with the flow and don't resist and don't fight. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And it causes worse problems because you're avoiding the situation artificially. It's all artificial. And that's why, again, Prabhupada wrote about Mahatma Gandhi's misunderstanding of the Gita. It is not ahimsa. Krishna is saying you must take action and you have to fight. You have to fight for dharma and fight for righteousness and defend the weak and the vulnerable, and all that is the message, real message of the Gita. So anyway, it's interesting that various people are figuring this out. And then I had a Hindu friend, and he said, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Mahatma Gandhi had the ahimsa policy. It resulted in a disaster. And he says, just now, people in India are starting to wake up and realize that was a bad policy. It did not work. They should have challenged the aggressors, and I think the same thing is happening in ISKCON. People now are waking up and saying, wait a minute, we have a duty to defend ISKCON and defend the citizens of ISKCON. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Haribol.
Yes. Well, I mean, it is a big problem. Let's face it. But this is a common problem in all circles of the Kali Yuga, where there is misinformation, misrepresentation for personal motive, and no different in this group. And we want to, reassure people that they can take shelter of Prabhupada without an institution. I mean, this issue is a philosophical issue because people are thinking, well, if I'm not in ISKCON, the biggest perpetrator of this Mother Rochisha in Montreal was Gopal Krishna. He pushed that point. Oh, if you're not in ISKCON, you can't be a devotee. This is not right. This is philosophically incorrect. And the points that were made today in the Bhagavatam and amongst other people in this discussion have given us a clear understanding that you're on the right path when and especially you're participating in the programs that we put on here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association. And by the way, Aprakrita would always get in touch with me. He loved the classes. He came for 2 years. He never missed a class. A lot of people, they come and go at their convenience. They've got their own, situation they have to deal with. But some of us, we understand with this daily, weekly diet of spiritual association, it'll keep us strong and keep us focused on this process. Mother Rochisha, maybe you could speak about Aprakrita for us at today's program. I hope you don't mind. Go ahead, please. Oh, there she is.
Aprakrita, please accept my obeisances and excuse my French speaking. Aprakrita was having a special program. He was 500,000. So he had the goal of 500,000 books or pamphlets distributed. And one day I count 98% of it. It was him doing it. And he was in old age. He was doing in the street. He was going door to door still this year. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay. Carry on.
So I was very surprised at the old age he had, that he was so humble, because he came to my place this summer, the day after Ratha Yatra. Ratha Yatra was on the 4th of July in Montreal. And he came to my place. It was 2 hours drive to come and see me. And I asked him after he left, I asked him, who organized the Ratha Yatra? And the only thing he says is me. He was so humble. I was so surprised. I couldn't believe that he was doing all this work, but he never talked about it. We talk every week. I was so surprised. He never said to me that all the things he was doing. And to be so humble is very characteristic of a very good devotee. So humble. He was talking all the time about Prabhupada, all the time. Never talk about anything else. So it's the way to see that his faith was very strong. And he was not a devotee of Krishna, he was a devotee of Prabhupada. Really. When we say, Krishna says, you are not my devotee, you are devotees of my devotee, you are my devotee. He was very, very strong in his faith with Prabhupada, more than me. And he gave me that. He gave me that because I was in touch with him for about a year and a half before he left. And he gave me that faith in Prabhupada that I never feed so much, because I was very young when I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada. I was only 16. And in those days, I didn't understand so much about the meaning of the spiritual master. The deities were going to be installed. There was so much enthusiasm in there. When we go sleep at night, we just think about when we're going to wake up to go to Mongol IT, running to the Mongol IT just to see the deities. But I never developed so much my devotion to Srila Prabhupada. But for a year and a half with the association of Aprakrita, I developed that, and I'm so happy. And I was praying for the last 10 years. I was praying to Tulasi. I was praying to Lord Jagannath. I was praying to Jagannath, Gaunitai, Radha Krishna, to have association with devotees. And look what he gave me. Very good devotees. So lucky. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Very good. And it's self-evident with the example of our Prakrita, how we can become Krishna conscious, we can become pure devotee of Srila Prabhupada without the association of people in the institution of ISKCON. And I think that this is the most important thing for us to learn from today's program, is that we are on a path of success spiritually together. And we hope that more people will take part in it. What can you do? We're reading the diaries, Mother Yorochisha, and you can see some days Prabhupada would have 2 people come. At one time, nobody showed up, but at the same time, he kept going. And that's how we feel. Pardon?
Is Japa du Midi? He was doing every 12 o'clock, Japa du Midi. And when he started, I follow each noon time is Japa. And there was not many people coming, but he was keeping steady. And he said, it's more important the quality than the quantity. You never feel discouraged that much.
Yeah, Prakrita was running a japa program, exactly. And like that, I mean, it is a complicated life. Spiritual life means many things. And you have to be in a situation where you understand, first of all, you're not this body. You have to understand that. And a lot of people, including, the so-called devotees, are still on the bodily conception of life. And they are in a position that they think they're an American, or they think they're a Canadian, or they think they're a rich man or a poor man or a man or a woman. We are actually Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nitya Dasa. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. And it is hard for us, all of us, to get out of this state of illusion. Yes, it is. But we dedicate ourselves to this process of pleasing our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That's our main focus. And in this way, by the grace of Prabhupada and the grace of Krishna, everything will become revealed in due course. And so when the time comes that we have to leave this world due to circumstance, we'll be able to remember, by the grace of Prabhupada and by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, that we are their servants, and hopefully go to serve them in the spiritual world, the transcendental world that exists beyond this material plane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll be back next Thursday, and we're looking forward to this next Saturday's event. So hopefully more people will come out. If you can invite people to come, they're always welcome. We want more Prabhupada disciples. We want more people that are interested in becoming Krishna conscious with us to join us in this transcendental effort, using social media as a tool for spreading Krishna consciousness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move on with the chanting of Hare Krishna by Srila Prabhupada from the 60s. And it's only 2.5 minutes. Please stay on, and we'll offer our respects to each other at the end, and then we'll carry on with the rest of our day and our service to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. So thank you again, Prabhus. We'll see you on Thursday evening for our Chaitanya Charitamrita class, Saturday next week for Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Sunday for the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion and reading. Mark it in your calendar so it's part of your week. I do my calendar every week. I write it in. Okay, this is what I'm doing these 3 days, and it keeps me focused on a simple program of Sadhu Sangha at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.